Hello everyone, and welcome back to another review video. And today I'm going to be reviewing probably one of my most favorite anime, and that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, before the video starts, two things. One, spoiler warning, obviously. And two, I have not watched every season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. However, I will do videos on those seasons when I see them. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's just begin. So, what is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Well, it's a bizarre adventure about two families. Well, one family and the antagonist that started it all. I will come to those characters when I talk about the characters. But basically, the series starts with two characters. Those being Dio Brando and Jonathan Joestar. Anyway, so Dio becomes a vampire, and basically Jonathan has to take him down. And that's it for, well, basically the first half, or the first season. Also, I will be talking about both Phantom Blood, the first one, and Battle Tendencies, the second one, in this video. So, yeah. Anyway, though, that was basically the main story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And basically, in this season and next season, they use this thing called Hamon, which is basically breathing powers. And yeah, that's basically the story of Phantom Blood. There's vampires, there's Hamon, and yeah. Anyway, though, let's move on to the characters now. So, in total, there are 5 characters that are super important to the series. There's obviously the main two, Jonathan Joestar and Dio Brando. And then there are also characters like, for instance, Irina, which I'll talk about her when I come to her. Then there's also Robert Speedwagon, and there's William Zeppeli. Anyway, though, let's talk about Jonathan first. So Jonathan is basically, at the beginning of the series, a wealthy kid. And after Dio Brando was accepted into his family, basically his life wasn't as great. But over time, they supposedly grew close. But after Jonathan discovered what Dio was planning on doing to his father, they kind of, yeah. Anyway, I'll come back to Dio when I talk about his character. But yeah, basically, after that, Dio became vampire, and Jonathan's house burned down, and his dad died. Anyway, though, after that, he meets. Well, before that, he meets Speedwagon, and I'll talk about him later. But after that, he meets with William Zeppeli, and he basically teaches him about Hamon, which, as I said, is basically breath powers, breathing powers. Anyway, so they go along, meeting different opponents and enemies, and basically, at the end of it, he beats Dio, and yeah, him and Irina get married. And then he dies. So yeah. Anyway, though, let's talk about Irina. So Irina Pendleton is basically the love interest for Jonathan Joestar. And yeah. Anyways. Alright. She does appear in Battle Tendency, but she's not really a part of the series massively. She does play a big part in it, though. So there's that. But yeah, she's just not really in the series that much. But yeah. Anyway, though. Let's move on to Speedwagon. So Speedwagon is probably one of my favorite characters in this. He's basically a mob boss kind of guy. He's a thug. And basically he meets Jonathan, or Jonathan meets him in a back alley where Jonathan looks for an antidote for his father. Yeah. After a fight ensues, Speedwagon basically becomes Jonathan's ally and basically helps him suss out Dio. And yeah, after that he becomes a important character. I mean, he's an important character either way. But basically he joins the group and basically becomes Jonathan's friend, Joestar friend in general. I'll come back to that in Battle Tendencies, though. Anyway, yeah. Now let's move on to William Zeppeli. So, like I said when talking about Jonathan, William Zeppeli is basically the person who introduces him to Hamon. And he's basically a master of it. Anyway, he's basically the master while Jonathan's the apprentice. And unfortunately, and spoilers, while fighting an opponent, he dies. And basically sacrifices himself to give Jonathan the power he needs to beat the enemy. Anyway. But the thing about this death is he knew it was coming. Basically, when he was training, he basically asked his master when he was going to die. And basically we see that unfold. So unfortunately we don't get to see him too awfully long. But he was a great character nonetheless. Alright. Let's move on to Dio Brando. The antagonist. The villain. the opposite of Jonathan Joestar. Basically, Dio's a bad guy. Sorry. So, Dio Brando came from not so great of conditions. Basically, he is the opposite of Jonathan. Again. And basically, when Dario Brando, Dio's father, died, Dio went to live with Jonathan, kicking off their rivalry, and eventually turning into the villain. Basically, his goal was to take down the Joestars. And basically, he was power hungry. Anyway, so he becomes a vampire and messes people up. And yeah. At the end of the series, he does both win and lose. I won't say what happens to him because I might go over that in a different review. But yeah. Basically, he kills Jonathan. And yeah. The boat they are on explodes. And yeah. So anyway. That was Phantom Blood. There we go. That was Phantom Blood. Now let's move on to Battle Tendencies. Alright. So basically, Battle Tendency takes place a while in the future. Basically, it takes place during World War II, I think. I don't know. There are Nazis in this show. So, yeah. I told you it was Bizarre Adventure. Anyway. Battle Tendencies has a new main character. That being Joseph Joestar. Now I'll talk about him in the character section. But basically, this takes place after Phantom Blood, obviously. And basically, there are these bad guys called Pillarmen, which are basically souped up vampire guys. Anyway, though. Basically, at the start of it, the Speedwagon Foundation decides to go to Mexico to look up something that's going on with stone masks. And if you don't know what stone masks are, they're basically what turned them into vampires. There's one, and that was in Phantom Blood. That's how Dio becomes a vampire. And basically, yeah. Anyway, so they recover this, tree thing with a guy inside of it. Basically, this guy is... well, he's a Pillarman. But I think he's a lesser one. Anyway, though. So, the Germans, Nazis, I don't think they were called Nazis in the show. I don't know. The Germans basically took him in and basically unthawed him, in a sense. And yeah. Basically, he was defeated by Joseph. And probably one of the best characters, in my opinion, a von Stroheim. I'll get to him later. he's great. Anyway, though, after that, more Pillar Men appear, and we meet Caesar Zeppeli, the grandson to William. Yeah. Basically, those two are friends. Friendly rivals. Anyway, so to help them with hormone training, they go to this lady called Lisa. And I won't spoil who she is. You'll have to watch the show. Anyway, so she trains them. Then basically she has a stone that will basically make the Pillar Men undefeatable in a sense. So basically they lose it, and Joseph, Caesar, Lisa all have to go find it. On the way they fight the Pillar Men. Basically, yeah. The Pillar Men being Cars, WAMU, and ACDC. And yeah, they fight. The stone was used with a mask on Cars, basically making him ultimate Cars. And basically, he becomes a prime life form, ultimate life form in a sense. Anyway, so Joseph uses a volcano to defeat him. And yeah, basically Joseph pulls a Star Wars and loses a hand after that. Anyway, though, yeah, that was the plot. And unlike Jonathan, Joseph actually survives. So yeah. Anyway, that was the plot of Battle Tendencies. Now let's move on to the characters. So the characters. There are more characters than Battle... No. There are more characters than Phantom Blood. So, I'll go over them. First, there's Jonathan Joestar. Not Jonathan, Joseph. Joseph Joestar. Okay. Then Caesar Zeppeli. Lisa. There is Speedwagon. Then there are the Pillar Men. And then Von Stroheim. And if I do miss a character, I'm sorry. But those are the ones I can think of right now. Let's go on to Joseph. So, unlike Jonathan, Joseph is, in a sense, the opposite. However, he's also very similar to him. That's a weird explanation, but yeah. You'll get what I mean when you watch the show. Basically, yeah. Honestly, Joseph is one of my favorite protagonists. And one thing that's special about him is that he has this thing in the show where he's like, next thing he'll say is this, and then they say the thing he said, and they're surprised, and then he beats him. Honestly, it's really fun, and I like it. Anyway, though, I told you about how he beats the Pillar Men and loses a hand. But one thing he also does is live. And he also has a mechanical hand. So yeah. Anyway, though, let's move on to Caesar. So basically, Caesar, in this story. Well, basically, he is wanting revenge. Basically, the Pillar Man took his father away from him. However, before that, he thought his father had abandoned him and his sisters and brothers, I think. I don't know. He has siblings. So he wants to go and, kill him. However, he sees the situation and wants to get revenge on the Pillarman for taking his father away from him. Basically, his father is trying to protect him and his siblings. Anyway, so yeah. Also in the show, he has this relationship with this German guy. And honestly, spoilers again, the guy doesn't make it. And honestly, you feel bad for him and Caesar because, they were friends. Yeah. Also, a gimmick with Caesar is he has basically bubble attacks. And that doesn't sound threatening, but he uses hormone with him, and vampires and hormone don't mix. So yeah. Anyway, he almost beats Wamu, by the way. However, due to him giving Wamu the slightest bit of shadow, Wamu was able to win. However, I'm pretty sure he would have won against Cars. And the show even says this. But anyway. And as you can tell, he loses against Wamu. And unfortunately, he does not make it. Honestly, his death is sad. And yeah. Zeppelis apparently don't survive these series. That sucks, but yeah. Anyway, through the show, he basically becomes Joseph's rival / friend. And yeah, seeing Joseph and Lisa's reaction to his death honestly is sad. And yeah. Anyway though, let's move on to Lisa. So Lisa, like William Zeppeli, is an expert with hormone. And yeah. I'm not gonna spoil what else she is, but you'll have to watch the show to find out. Anyway. So yeah. Anyway. Let's move on to Speedwagon. So Speedwagon is basically, since Phantom Blood, he's rich. Basically, he becomes an oil tycoon and makes bank off of it. Anyway, he basically has his own company, the Speedwagon Foundation. And that's basically the foundation that found out about the Pillarmen. And yeah, he is basically a father to Joseph. And Joseph's father dies before the series. Basically a minion of Dio's infiltrates the force he is in and basically kills him. And Lisa kills the zombie. And basically makes her technically a criminal as well. Basically, the zombie became a high-ranking officer, and yeah, people saw Lisa offing him. And yeah, you can imagine how well that turned out. Anyway, though, back to Speedwagon. Yeah, basically that's it. He's not on the show much, but he's still the same old Speedwagon. Anyway, let's move on to probably one of my favorite characters, von Stroheim. Basically, he's a German soldier. And yeah, he's not really a good guy. He's more of a anti-hero type. He's on Joseph's side, but he's also like, he's basically like Nazi, let's be honest. Honestly though, they did good with him. And in the show, he does seemingly die, but returns as a cyborg and helps Joseph in them. And yeah. Anyway, he's a cool character, and I like him a lot. Anyway, that was the characters to Battle Tendency. Anyway, though, yeah. So that was my review of both Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency. Now, my final thoughts on these seasons is, I like them. Battle Tendency is my favorite, though. Phantom Blood wasn't bad, but compared to the other series, well, actually, Battle Tendency and Phantom Blood compared to the rest of JoJo's is out of place. It fits with the story, but like comparing every other season after those two, it gets a bit rocky. But honestly, these are good seasons, and I like them. Anyway, though, hopefully you enjoyed my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood, and Battle Tendency. Now, I will do a review of Stardust Crusaders, aka Season 3, yeah, and the other seasons after that. However, I am still watching Diamond is Unbreakable, which is the 4th one. So, I have watched Stardust Crusaders, so I will do a review on that eventually. I mean, this video compared, like, if you look at my other reviews, like, this is far from that. So I'll try not to have too much of a gap between reviews, but they just take a long time to edit. So, yeah. I will try to make them more frequent, though. Anyway, though, that was my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 1. Anyway, though, hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And turn on notifications so you don't miss another video from me. And yeah, I will see you next video. Bye. Watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.